This is how people are going to war. Here is such a toilet, here is the kitchen to cook in.
These are the conditions under which mobilized Russians go to war in Ukraine. The carriage looks more like a freight wagon. No toilets, no sleeping places, no heating.
The heater doesn't work and we have to go soon, in a couple of hours. It's cold and dark.
However, upon arrival, they do not hurry to take care of the mobilized men either. This is what they tell their relatives.
Everything is bad here. We have a lot of losses. There is nothing. I was given a Soviet nightlight, which is from 1964, black and white. You can't see anything in it at all.
Not only the equipment given to the mobilized is of Soviet stock in the Kremlin, but also the tactics. Throwing cannon fodder at the front is a long tradition of Russian military leaders. That's why less than a month after the official end of the first wave of mobilization, the Federation is preparing to start an even more massive campaign. It has already been announced by the Russian Minister of Defense.
The priority task for 2023 is the continuation of the special military operation. It is necessary to increase the number of armed forces to 1.5 million military personnel.
A new wave of mobilization may be announced in the near future. Authorities want to conscript at least 500,000 Russians. In the Kremlin, they intend to hold the front in this way and repel the counteroffensives of the armed forces of Ukraine. But experts believe that the Kremlin is wishful thinking.
The current war is a war of technology, primarily artillery, and the Ukrainian side, having an advantage in the quantities of artillery and ammunition for them, will quickly nullify the advantage of the Russian army in manpower. For example, an Excalibur-class projectile absolutely does not care how many Russian mobilized are at its point of arrival, 300 or 3,000. It turns them all to ashes.
And the Russian army itself is not ready for such a number of mobilized. This means that the Russians who receive the summons will be left without equipment, without weapons, even elementary without training. After all, Russian training grounds can accommodate a maximum of 130,000 people, not to mention the fact that there is nowhere to place these hundreds of thousands. And there is no one to command this army. The Russian army is already experiencing an acute shortage of regular officers and specialists.
500,000 people should not only be provided with everything they need, but also with junior commanders, as well as highly specialized specialists, medics, communication specialists, electronic warfare specialists, which means that the Russian army itself does not have that many specialists.
The Kremlin has already decided how to deal with the lack of medics. They will distribute summonses to doctors and nurses. They want to mobilize women for this purpose as well. But there is a problem with commanders in the Russian army. They have to send retirees to the front.
In order to replenish the current losses, the invaders are forced to staff the operational tactical level command link with retired officers from the reserve, from a report of the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine.
After all, those who are younger and more educated are recruited into private armies. They are paid more there. The private military companies in Russia, almost every Putin's friend has one. Prigozhin and Kadyrov's companies are known. Russian Defense Minister Shoigu has also decided to keep up. His personal army has already visited Vuhledar in Ukraine. Although private armies are prohibited in Russia, but private military companies are a winning ticket for the Kremlin officials, and they can distinguish themselves in the war in Ukraine by proving their loyalty to Putin and to fight for power in the Kremlin in case of opportunity. Reported by Roman Smoler, Ksenia Barvinenko, UATV News.